Hey Sunshine, and welcome to the Dewless podcast, where we uncover and discover who we are through creating space to reconnect with ourselves. I'm your guide Bria, an involvement and life coach for moms. The key to you living as your authentic self is to evolve and witness. Now is the time to have courage and embrace change. Your relationship with yourself is the only true constant. Observing yourself throughout seasons of your life will allow you to always be in alignment with the desires of your heart. Before we get started, I have to remind you of your influence because you are an inspiration. Hello and happy Monday. Today is October 10th, which is, holy moly, a month away from my birthday. All right, there we go. I was backlit for a second, but what was I saying? Oh, it's a month away from my birthday. A month. And I take the months leading up to my birthday and just the fall in general is very reflective for me as it's coming up on like the next year in my personal life and my next personal journey. And I was reflecting on all these things that has brought me to this point in my life, and I'm just grateful. I want to start by saying that I'm so grateful. But happy Monday, everybody. If it's your first time listening to the podcast or watching the podcast, if you're here on YouTube with me, my name is Bria, and I'm a life coach. I'm a doula. I'm a lover of all people who are on this journey of just getting to know themselves and spending times with themselves. And I just have so much on my heart to share, and I'm just grateful that I've created a space for me to do it. But today, what I'd like to share with you all is just a little bit about the agreements that we buy into that aren't necessarily ours and that we didn't decide to believe. It's about the conditioning that we got when we were growing up, and this conditioning was there to domesticate us and make us all easier to control in a sense. When we're children, we had this freedom, this sense of fearlessness to us, and they wanted to teach us that some things were dangerous and that we needed to follow rules. And I'm here to say, fuck the rules. It's time to break them. They no longer serve us, and we're just in a different season in our life, and it's time for us to really find out what's right for us. And when I use the word right loosely because it's more of what feels good, what's authentic, and what's our truth for this current reality that we're living in. So I've been journaling the past few days, super deeply, multiple pages, 3 to 4 pages journaling. Just like I was saying, it's a very reflective time in my life. And so I wanted to share something with you all about the agreements that we've bought into. And like I said, I've read the book, The 4 Agreements, and it really stuck with me. And the way that it just opened my eyes to the little nuances of our conditioning helped me realize that it is safe to trust myself, and that honestly, I'm the only person I should be trusting, if that makes sense. Bria just got done with breath work. Bria is cold. I love doing breath work because it just opens my eyes to so many things, and that's why I do it. Continue to do it. So I want to share something with you from my journal, and then also just pose a few questions to you all about the agreements that you've bought into, because are they yours, or are you performing for this world and the people here? So I'll first start by sharing what came up a few days ago from journaling, and I gotta read it to you verbatim because past Bria knew what she was doing and I trust her. I'll start here. This world makes it difficult to feel I am enough. This is a thought I believe and feel often. And what I want to believe is it's safe for me to show up in my truth and walk authentically in my lifetime. I feel like I've planted the seed of this new thought, but I'm not nurturing it. Not like I'm nurturing my relationship with myself. I'm exhausted from trying to fix things, and this implies that I'm not enough. I only listen to my body. My mind isn't a reliable source. There's too many agreements that I bought into that aren't mine. I get to distance myself from all that is not me so I can create space to feel what is me. What's my current truth? What's my current reality? What does it feel like to be authentic? I want to record my next podcast on this. I said the world is some shit, but it wasn't built for me. So I'll build my own reality where I can thrive in my business, in my relationships, friendships, and partnerships, in love, and in life. And so, yeah, that's what I wrote. That's what I wrote. Like, and that's just honesty. Like, I'm not going to continue to lie to myself and be like, oh yeah, love and light, this world is a beautiful place, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie to myself and buy into what this world has told me to believe. And I think it's really important to realize that some of these things are so ingrained in us that it's going to take just as long as it was conditioning us to decondition us. And so that's why I think it's important to just realize and be gentle when you're noticing things that aren't you. And it's just about creating space to question yourself gently. And I'm not a huge fan of the whole ego and like death to ego and all that stuff, because I honestly think that your ego is here to protect you. I see my ego as my inner child who's a little scared. She's like, Bria, don't do that. Bria, don't do that because we don't know what's gonna happen. Like, Bria, calm down, slow down. Like, wait, did you think about this? Wait, did you think about this scenario? Like, that's the way that I think about my ego. My ego is here trying to protect me. She's here trying to make sure that I'm secure, and then that's also an opportunity for me to comfort my inner child. But that's the way that I see my ego. I don't think we need to kill the ego. I think we need to kill the performative mind. And so basically what your performative mind is your conditioning. That's the way that I see it. It's your mind pressuring you to perform in a way that isn't authentic to you. And this concept kind of came to me while I was coaching one of my clients, and I was just like, we perform so much that we can't separate that we are just basically putting on a show for these people. You know, it's almost like, oh, you gotta be a grade A student, you gotta have perfect attendance, you gotta be the mom that does XYZ, the soccer mom who brings apples and carrots instead of juice boxes and granola bars. Like, this is like, it's just, you're trying to perform for the effect of other people. What will they say? What do they feel? But it's like, hold on a minute, back the up, like back up, and how do you want to feel? Because in this world where we're performing for society and trying to follow all the rules and the conditioning that we have, like, we also have to realize that we're doing a disservice to ourselves by continuing and choosing to continue to believe in these agreements, in these rules, and these decisions for our lives that we didn't choose. And so a while ago, like before I even moved into this place, my mind went crazy one night, and I spilled all of these podcast ideas onto this notes document in my phone. And I just want to read what I wrote again, because I really do see myself as a writer. And I think that to try to implement this, or even perform for you right now, to like try and make this beautiful speech presentations like it's a public speaking class, is bogus. So I'm just gonna read to you exactly what I wanted to share that night, that I'm so beautifully sharing with you all right now. We agreed to things without reading the fine print. And just to like give you a backstory, this whole like little story that I'm about to read to you, I titled the terms of our agreement. And to understand the perspective of what I wrote this from, I'm going to give you a bit of context before I read it. We buy into so many terms of agreements without reading the fine print. Like when our iPhone needs an update, or Google sends us a new thing where it's like, hey, before you, like, you'll have to, do you agree to these new terms? Do you agree to these new terms? I'm guilty of it. Your girl is not about to read this long legal document that I don't understand. But it's also like there are nuances in our lives that we agreed to that we didn't question, we didn't ask for clarity, and we just continue to go along with the terms of agreement that we all bought into. But it's like, maybe it's time to question those things, and that's what I want to get into with the reading of this story that I wrote. But again, I'll start. We agree to things without reading the fine print. We do this when we create a new account to purchase that thing we convinced ourselves that we need. We did it when we signed up for Netflix, and I'm sure we'll do it again. When we came into this world, we were domesticated. We agreed to the terms of this world. We agreed that this was the best way of life. And now that we're older and aware of these terms, we feel stuff. We're trying to read through the privacy policies that we've signed without a second thought, and we all do this, so there's no need to guilt or beat ourselves up about it. Say thank you to your present self for being ready to receive this guidance and support. You can't change what you experienced before, but you can shape the experiences to come. The key here is not to try and understand the terms of the boxes that the world have told us to live in and have confined us to. We know when we step out of the boxes, we get told things like, she's too much, she's not doing enough. But here's the thing, you can't even think about the box. Everything is all made up. The box isn't even real. Okay? The box isn't real. We have the power to create our own terms, but society has a hard time predicting the unknown when we all create our own terms, which is why they conditioned us in the first place. So the best thing you can do for yourself is to rewrite your own terms. At the time of writing this, I was reading the 4 Agreements, and it opened my eyes to my conditioning. It's no one's fault that this conditioning happened to me. It's a part of the human experience. We teach our kin, our children, the tools that help us survive, even if it's not necessary anymore. This is a cycle that will continue. It's not our job to eliminate it, but it serves its purpose. Our job is to connect with ourselves so we can write and understand our own terms of agreement for our life we want to create and the legacy we want to build. Our agreements will change over time as we experience more things in our life and gain more knowledge. Self-mastery is the goal here. The better we understand ourselves, the better we are for our friends, family, and community. And I want to stop there and just expand on that thought. The terms of agreement for our lives are constantly evolving. Right now in this space, the way that I live my life is not the way that I lived my life when I was living at home with my mom or living in Denver when I was in college. There are different ways that I carry myself, and I'm glad that these terms have evolved because they allowed me to change, embrace the things that were shifting in the transformation that I was going through, that allowed me to see that, okay, right here, right now in my life, what do I need to feel supportive? What feels good to me right now? I'm not worried about what was or what happened or what's going to happen. Like, forget all that. I want to be present. I want to be here right now. What is my current reality? What does it feel like? What do I need in this moment? The shit that worked before most likely won't work for me now, and I'm just open to experiencing myself in a new way. And that's why self-mastery is the goal here. It's the goal here because nobody knows us like we do. We have all the context. We have all the context. When people try to give us their opinion or even guidance or advice, like, we still have free will and we have autonomy in our decisions and autonomy to create the life that we want. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to, what do you want? What feels good to you? What feels most authentic? What will feel supportive? Will this improve the quality of your life? And these are questions that I ask myself constantly, like maybe not on a daily basis, but often, just to make sure that I'm in alignment with what I need right now. Because if we're always living life out of things that worked for us in the past, old coping habits, old routines, that doesn't create space for growth. And so as we're evolving, like I said, like this takes time. It takes time to find these new agreements and break down the old habits. But I like the use of the word habit here because it allows you to see that these things are ever changing. And some habits can't be broken unless you create another one. All habits, I'm going to go there and say this, all habits can't be created or broken without a replacement. And that's why it's important to not even review the old, but create the new. It's good to go back and witness and observe, but not to understand. We're not here looking for closure. That's what we're not doing with the terms that we've already agreed into. We are here looking, observing, and listening to our body and being like, did that shit feel good? Did it feel good when I woke up every day at 5 a.m. to go to XYZ to do 1, 2, 3? Like, did that feel good? And it's not even about listening to your mind, because again, the performative mind will get in the way. Like I said in my journaling, your mind is not a reliable source. There's too many opinions that aren't yours. There's too much advice that we received throughout our lives from people that we looked up to. There's too much noise in our mind. And so when it comes to listening to your voice and your sound and your body, it really comes down to what feels right now. What feels right for you right now. It's not about trying to figure out how you're going to feel in the future, because you're not there. You're going to be a different person in a few days, in a few hours. What feels good to you right now? And following that. And when you get back to knowing that your body is your anchor and your body is always on your side, and you're allowed to trust yourself, like it's safe to trust your body and the things that you're feeling inside your body, because that's your intuition, that's your gut, and those things are always right. I'm not even gonna say right, they're always reliable. When have you ever trusted your gut and some shit hit the fan? If that's you, please share an experience with us. Give us the context, let us know in the comments, share it with us, and we can chat about it. But I really just want you to understand that you're not your job. You're not a piece of paper. You're not those things. You don't have to do life in the way that other people say you need to do it. The way a mom's supposed to be, the way the daughter's supposed to be, the perfect employee's supposed to be. There's no such thing as perfect. And you're not those things. When I'm talking about coming back to that self-mastery and that self-reliance and self-assurance in yourself, you can be assertive about who you are. You can be assertive about the woman you're becoming and the person you are right now. Who you're becoming is already here, baby. She's already here. But it's just creating space and time for you to spend time with that. Who do you want to be? But I want to share a little bit about the person who I'm becoming, just to give you an example of what it looks like to have an open perspective about constantly evolving your habits, agreements, and in the life that we're creating. I have named my authentic self Serenity. And serenity is mostly because of a feeling that I want to feel, and the word serenity and the name Serenity as my authentic self serves as an anchor. Do I feel peace and serenity going forward? Because that's the feeling that I'm always looking for. Serenity feels freedom, security, she's supported, she's safe, she's assertive in her being, and I can always have access to my authentic self when I sit in all of those emotions and in those feelings. And that's where I make decisions from. So it's just about having the time and space to reflect on who do you want to be, How do you want to feel? Who is she? Who are they? What do they need? What do they want? And we can talk about why I use the word they in another episode more deeply, but it really comes down to there are so many possibilities for who you can be, and so many versions of you that are going to come, and who will become your past self, that it's important to, in my opinion, acknowledge all of them, because they're all a piece of your truth. And some days you show up as them, and to have a relationship with them, you can find peace when they come up. It's not as triggering or so dramatic or anything like that. It's just like, oh, this is just a part of me that's coming up right now. I need to go spend time with her, you know? And so that's why I use the word they in like kind of a nutshell, because like you are not one thing. You are not one thing. You are a culmination of all your experiences and all the people that have impacted and come into your life. But I want to create this space and time for you to just reflect on everything that's come up. And I'm going to give you some journal prompts. If you're listening on the podcast, you can go to the show notes and see these reflection questions and prompts. And if you're watching on YouTube here, I will have those reflection prompts come up on the screen. But these next 3 minutes are for you to just sit with the agreements that you've already agreed into, and just gently observe how you want to pivot and reshape those agreements for where you are right now today, and honor what feels good in your current truth, in your current reality, because you're allowed to change, you're allowed to pivot, and you're allowed to expand. So the next 3 minutes are just for you to have space, to spend some time with yourself. And I'll see you in the next episode, but I just want you to know that you're supported. You have love and you have time. There's no rush to figure this all out in one day. Like I said in the beginning of this episode, it takes time to recondition yourself and to shift into these new habits. So just remember to be graceful and kind to yourself as you go through this process. But I love you, and this time is for you.
If anything resonated with you during this episode, pass it along to a friend. Let's continue the chain reaction of inspiration. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can stay updated with all things Dewless Bloom by joining the Village community email list. The link is in the description below. I hope that today is everything you needed to be and more, and remember, you are an inspiration.